Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time it is a brand new vlog. Giving you a little bit of update on what's been going on with me lately, as well as my thoughts on some movie trailers, as well as a little bit of movie news. And I got a little bit of an extra update when it comes to DVDs and Blu-rays. I'll save that for last, though. So first off, I want to give you all a heads up on why there was nothing on my channel until I think it was yesterday when I uploaded a couple of videos. Um, the reason why there was nothing on my channel is because I was dealing with an illness. I got a really nasty cold and knocked me out for 2 to 3 days. It was pretty bad. I have to be honest, one of the worst colds I've had in a while. So yeah, it was a pretty nasty cold, so it took me out for a bit. And I've also been really busy with balancing school as well as work at the same time. So I haven't really had as much free time to do stuff. And when I have had it, I haven't really wanted to sit down and do a video. Just been a little bit tired. But I'm going to make more of an effort to pump out more content more regularly because after being sick for 2 to 3 days and not really being able to do anything, even when I wanted to, I definitely missed doing videos like this. Now, in case you're wondering about when it comes to like my personal appearance or anything, yeah, I shaved, and because of that, well, I kind of nicked myself a little bit over here, so that's why there's a little bit of a scratch on my face. But I guess it adds character. I guess some people would say that. So yeah, that's a little update on me and what's been going on. And when it comes to what's going to be coming up on this channel, I have a lot that's going to be coming your way pretty soon. A lot of variety, a lot of randomness. I want to do a video where I just talk about some random baseball movies I've been watching. I saw Mr. 3000 and Mr. Baseball. I'm going to watch The Scout and Talent for the Game, and I want to just do a quick video, like a installment of the Thoughts on series where I just talk about baseball movies. I'm not really super big on baseball, but I'm in a little bit of a baseball movie kick because I don't mind baseball movies, especially if they're done right. And there's some other films that I've seen that I want to share my thoughts on as well. Ready or Not is one of them. I saw that a few weeks ago, so I want to share my thoughts on that. I was going to share my thoughts on that much earlier, but I got sick, and then things just kind of spiraled out of control when it comes to that. I am also planning on doing a video where I share my thoughts on one of my personal favorite virus films, Outbreak, because I watched that again for a class that I'm taking at WC Vancouver, which is all about viruses and diseases and epidemics. I am also going to do a review sometime of Broken Arrow because I did a review of that a while ago, but I had to remove it for copyright reasons, and I really enjoy that film, and I think it's incredibly underrated. I think it's a much better action film than Face Off, which seems to get all the praise nowadays. And Rambo films. That one is good. That the Rambo films are probably going to come a little bit sooner. I would say Ready or Not's going to be uh, before that, so I can get that out of the way, while I still remember enough of what I saw to do a review of it. And then I'm going to tackle the Rambo films. I'm going to take aim at the Rambo franchise. And I'm really looking forward to that because I've been wanting to do Rambo reviews for a long time. And I just haven't really had the time. The timing wasn't right. And the timing could not be better because Rambo Last Blood came out. And my plan is to review the first four and then check out the fifth film and also review that. So I'm hoping to get Rambo reviews all uploaded and done by the end of this week. I'm not going to make any guarantees, but that's the hope. After that, it's just gonna be randomness. I'm just gonna review whatever I want, and talk about whatever I want to. I got a mini rant in mind about politics and film and film criticism that I'm really passionate about. Not specifically film, but film criticism. I think it's gotten way out of hand lately, and I think it's a two-way street. I think it's a two-pronged issue. I don't think it's just one thing. So that's why I think it would make for a really interesting rant and a potentially intriguing debate. And if I get any more packages or some other stuff, I'll probably do another unboxing or another collection update video. And there's another thing that I have prepared, but I haven't started recording it yet. It's a little bit something different. There's a website that talks about um, films and TV projects that never really happened or uh, were unfinished, and I put together a list of the films and, well, not really television, more films of the film projects and the film elements that I found to be the most interesting and potentially fun to talk about. So I actually might do that sometime in the future as well. I know somebody asked me about my thoughts on October, for what I'm going to be doing in October. Um, I know I want to tackle the rest of the Halloween films. I know I want to do that. I might also tackle another franchise. I don't know. I think I'm probably just going to do something like review the Creepshow films and Tales from the Dark Side of the movie and maybe Creepshow the series, because hopefully all the episodes will be available by that time. So that's kind of my plan tentatively for right now for October. I do actually really want to get back on track and get started. Start up the 80s horror marathon again myself. My good friend Matt, Rambo for Life, he's been doing a great job in his marathon right now of 80s horror films. If that sounds like your cup of tea and you haven't really checked out his channel yet, definitely suggest you check it out. I think you'll enjoy those reviews. And so yeah, that's really what I have planned. And of course, more Tales from the Crypt. I definitely do want to get around to reviewing more seasons. My plan is for any upcoming Tales from the Crypt reviews, it's just going to be one video. I'm just going to suck it up and I'm just going to do my thoughts on each episode in one video, however long it is. So you could treat it maybe as a podcast if it's a little bit too long for you. Yeah, and then I got something potentially pretty special involving someone who worked on the Funhouse. Specifically the writer of the Funhouse, the Tobe Hooper film. He liked my review of the film. He left a comment, a really nice comment, and said it pretty much asked if I wanted to do an interview, and I definitely do want to do that sometime. So I'm just trying to think of questions to ask him and trying to, set up the right time for that to happen. But the wheels are in motion for that. So if you're a fan of the Funhouse, you could be in for a treat in the near future. So anyway, that is really about it for the channel update. I appreciate you all hanging in there, despite the fact that I didn't really have anything going. But now we get to my thoughts on some trailers. So I'm just going to catch up on some of the trailers that I missed. Kind of just I'm going to start where I left off, which was with Star Wars Rise of Skywalker and like Joker. Terminator Dark Fate. So there was a new trailer that came out for Terminator Dark Fate, I think like a couple weeks ago. It shows a few more sequences, but it still looks like an absolute pile of shit. It looks like a total wreckage. It looks like a pile of wreckage. It really does. This franchise should be terminated already. I don't know why it hasn't been. Genesis underperformed domestically. I don't know why they're doing another one. Linda Hamilton being back, it's kind of nice to see her back in the franchise, but that's not enough for me to give this trailer or this concept or this overall franchise a pass at this point. It's long past due. It's one of those franchises that has really gone way past its sell by date, and it's expired and it needs to be thrown out in the trash. This trailer does nothing to get me interested in the movie. Still looks like CGI overload. The new Terminator looks like he's totally forgettable. I know some people are like, oh, that cool scene where he goes in and he cuts up people. That's so awesome. I'm like, that was kind of cool, but where's his personality? Where's his charisma? Even when Arnold was playing a robot, he had more charisma than this guy. Um, and I'm just like, where is all of that? And what's the whole thing? He can be a Terminator endoskeleton with a flesh covering at the same time when he's also a T-1000 that's like black. That's the new thing. And the trailer does a really bad job trying to make this new Terminator look cool or look intimidating, because there's that one scene where he's fucking people up in a hallway, and then there's multiple scenes in the trailer where he's getting his ass handed to him by the new, I guess not Terminator chick, but she basically is. And then you have lazy retread lines of dialogue. Like, she says the same line of dialogue that Sam Worthington said in Terminator Salvation, which had a similar character where it's a human but it's more than human. And there's a line where he says, "I am human," and then this fucking bitch says the same thing. It's just like, it's just, and Arnold, I guess, is just gonna be a regular guy. So it's their take on the Sergeant Candy thing that was deleted from T3, but this time around it's nowhere near as let's just say nowhere near as much of a parody, and it's taking itself more seriously. And there's a line of dialogue where Sarah says, you know, when this is over, I'm going to kill you. That really makes me think that Arnold's character in this is the one who's going to kill John Connor in like the first 5 minutes of the movie. And if that's the case, why? Why do we need to kill John Connor? You already killed him anyway in Genesis when you made him a Terminator. So what is really the point? Oh, so we can have an Edward Furlong cameo? So yeah, that's not really that special or really anything worth much of anything. Oh, James Cameron is back. So James Cameron praised Genesis. I mean, James Cameron hasn't done much of anything worth a shit in years. Why should I be hyped just because James Cameron is back involved with the franchise? Him being involved with the franchise doesn't fix the problems. After T2, this franchise was really fucking troubling. This is a franchise that was spiraling further and further down the toilet ever since Terminator 2, because there was no reason or need for any more sequels. Salvation I didn't mind because it was a prequel. Salvation wasn't really connected to T2 or trying to ruin that storyline in any way whatsoever. Every sequel that's come out after T2 has just completely destroyed the mythos, destroyed the story, made it not really have that much of a lasting impact. T2 is still a great sequel and a great film, don't get me wrong, but it's hurt immensely by the existence of T3 and Genesis, and more than likely this movie as well. It ended perfectly. Judgment Day was stopped. A Terminator actually saved the world from the apocalypse that was going to be created by his own kind. It was fitting, and it ended with a thumbs up, and it was the best way to end the franchise. All loose ends were tied up, everything was totally 100% closed when it comes to the overall story. And then here comes T3, which has its fucking lazy fucking bullshit storyline that it throws out there, where it's like, oh, no, 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 no. Judgment Day is inevitable. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they did. It doesn't matter the sacrifice of Dyson. None of that shit matters because Judgment Day was inevitable. Essentially, sequels were inevitable. This was a really popular franchise, and there was no way in hell that a studio that would wind up with the rights for the Terminator franchise would not want to milk this franchise for every single last drop. And that's what's going on here. And it's too bad, but if you ask me, this franchise should be put in a crusher and just be crushed and terminated, and it really needed to have the plug pulled on it long before now. Hopefully this tanks or underperforms and that kills the franchise for good, because it would be for the franchise's benefit. It really would be. Now, a franchise that has a sequel coming out next year that I'm actually looking forward to is Bad Boys. Bad Boys is a little bit of an underrated action franchise. The first film has gotten a lot of praise and acclaim, but the second film got a lot of critics who had to stick up their ass and decided to also beat it with the same stick. And I definitely don't feel that the film deserved that. It's a really fun sequel with some great action sequences, great laughs. At times maybe a little bit long in the tooth, but overall still a really solid sequel. And Bad Boys for Life looks like a lot of fun. Martin Lawrence and Will Smith still have the same electric chemistry. There's some action here that definitely looks like it would be something worth seeing in the big on the big screen. It's got that stylish look and flair to it that definitely reminds me of Michael Bay, but there's something different about it that it isn't quite the exact same thing. The humor made me laugh. One moment, particularly at the end, that really cracked me up is when you have the new team, and they're singing "Bad Boys," and they're doing a terrible job at it, and then Will Smith and Martin Lawrence give them shit for it. They're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Stop, 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 stop! Never do that again." Yeah, you even got the words wrong. Yeah, I love it because it's a slap in the face to these lazy ass fucking reboots and remakes and all this idea that just because it's new, they can also do their take and they're better or they're just as good. And in that scene alone, it was in essence Martin Lawrence and Will Smith embodying everything a lot of old school action fans like us feel when it comes to these type of remakes and reboots of these franchises, and they're trying to do a cover of it and it's off key and it's terrible, and I like that. That was great. It was the kind of thing that should have happened at the end of Expendables 3 when the new Expendables are trying to do their fucking stupid shtick and making Captain Planet references. But yeah, it's going to be over the top. It's going to be dumb, but that's really what Bad Boys is. So, that's not bad at all. Not bad. Not bad. That trailer was honestly really good. I liked it. Now we have a trailer that's not nearly as good, Black Christmas. I knew nothing about this remake until recently. I saw a poster for it, and then I was like, really? Another remake of Black Christmas? Do we really need another Black Christmas? And apparently Blumhouse feels that we do. And then I saw the trailer, and I will give the trailer this. I like the style. I like the cinematography. There's some really gorgeous looking shots in this. The shots that are of the girl on the snow. I thought that was beautiful. So there's a lot of shots here that are definitely coming from a director and a cinematographer who know their way around a camera. The performances don't really look bad either when it comes to the acting. The problem with the film to me is, why is this Black Christmas? This really isn't much of a remake. They really should have just called it something else, like Mistletoe or some other Christmas-related thing and put a horror twist on it, because this is really just Black Christmas in name only. And I think it would have played off better to fans of the horror genre if it wasn't just another remake, because we already had a fairly recent remake of Black Christmas. So I definitely feel more people would have been interested in it because of that. I do feel a little bit of some feminist vibes here, and I don't really like that I don't really, it's not the fact that I necessarily have a problem with feminism. It's just when they shove it down your throat, I do have an issue with that, and I'd have an issue with that if that was any other form of politics or any other form of opinion or belief, especially in a film like this. Like, we don't need that kind of shit shoved down our throats. So I saw a few moments in the trailer that made me go, made me like a little bit leery of it going that route. But I mean, the biggest problem with this trailer is that it gives away too much. This trailer literally tells you the entire movie. It gives away the twist. It tells you that the killers are going to be members of the frat or something, and they're part of some cult. And then and really, that was the big twist, more than likely, and the trailer gave it all away. Unless there's another swerve that they're going to throw out at you. It just, I mean, even from a gore standpoint, not much to it. I mean, the Silent Night, Deadly Night remake at least had some great gore in it, along with some stylish direction. This just looks like a film that's all style, no substance, and just a bunch of filler. That's really what it looks like. But we'll see. I'm not going to see it in the theater because I have no desire to. It didn't really impress me that much. But, you know, I've seen worse trailers. I mean, Charlie's Angels, you know, or Like a Boss, Step On Down, you know, to the shitter. But Black Christmas, I mean, it's just, we don't really need it. We didn't really need another Black Christmas. It should just had it be a standalone film, be its own thing. Here we have a Stephen King adaptation of a short story or a novella that I've never heard of, but I really like this trailer, and it's for In the Tall Grass. I like Patrick Wilson. The overall cast looks pretty solid, including Patrick Wilson. The visuals look pretty creepy. I like the overall idea. It's very Twilight Zone-esque, and I love that. It's the trailer doesn't really give away anything. It leaves you confused, and I love that. I think that's great. I think it's fantastic that the trailer leaves you asking questions. It doesn't give everything away. So in the trailer, you get the basic gist of what things are, but you don't know what it is, and that's what gets you intrigued and willing to spend your time to see the movie. Yeah, In the Tall Grass, it deals with these individuals that go into this field of grass, which is really tall. It's got all these, you know, it lives up to the title. It's Field of Tall Grass. And time ends up becoming immaterial. They don't know what time it is or even where they are or how long they've been there. And it just, things just start spiraling further and further out of control and getting crazier and crazier. And there look like there's some nice, creepy, weird visuals. Yeah, it looked like it was definitely worth a watch. And speaking of Stephen King, I'm also really, really curious about Dr. Sleep. I think I only saw the teaser. I didn't see the next trailer because I didn't want to give anything away. I just wanted to kind of just save a lot of the visuals for that film from when I do eventually go to see it. That's one I might see in the theater because I think it would benefit from that. I think it's going to have some great visuals. And it legitimately does look like a pretty good movie. I love the fact that it's not only an adaptation of the novel, but it's also a direct sequel to Stanley Kubrick's adaptation of The Shining. I think that was a really great move to make. Now, also speaking of Stephen King, another reason why I've been a little bit busy is because, or really hadn't had much time to catch up on some stuff until recently. It's because, you know, I've been going to stuff like the double feature showing of Christine and Maximum Overdrive at the Hollywood Theater. Both were shown in 35 millimeter. and both were a blast to watch with a packed crowd who were really enjoying both of them and having a really grand old time. Um, I will say this, Christine, the more I see it, the less I like it. I think it lacks a soul. I think the characters are weak. I think the performances are weak. It's got some great visuals, like any scene with the Plymouth Fury is great. The score by Alan Howarth and John Carpenter is fantastic, but I just feel there's a lot of elements that don't quite click. The tone is all over the place. It's trying to be serious, but you don't really buy it. The Descent into Madness by Keith Gordon is not believable because the acting by him isn't really the best. And there are plenty of moments where his disturbing Descent into Madness comes across as laughable. And I don't think that was the intention at all. It just comes across as unintentionally hilarious because the acting is so weird and quirky, and it's the opposite of disturbing. And John Stockwell is not much of an actor. He really is pretty much, he's just a nice guy, and that's really about it. I like Alexandra Paul. I think she's nice to look at, but her acting leaves a lot to be desired. The dialogue at times is fun, but at other times it's a bit obnoxious. Some of the characters just come across as completely, I don't know if I'd say alien, but they come across as just constructs for film. They don't come across as real people. They just come across as characters who were just written for one purpose and one purpose only, to say funny lines of dialogue and be outlandish. Um, it's got, like I said, Christine has some really great things about it, but I would definitely say it's one of my least favorite Stephen King adaptations after watching it again, and one of my least favorite John Carpenter films. That being said, I still think it's an above average film. I still think it's a pretty decent movie. I think it's got a lot going for it. Like I said, the visuals are fantastic, but and the score is great, and there are other elements to it that I do enjoy, but there are a lot of other elements that really prevent it from really firing on all cylinders. Maximum Overdrive is a film I love, warts and all. I mean, watching it in a theater, it was a blast, but man, this movie has some. This movie is far from perfect. It's rough around the edges. It's got some really bad things about it. Stephen King's direction is amateurish. You can tell he hasn't directed that much. There are a lot of scenes where it really could have benefited from a better director. The performances by the cast, at best, are adequate. At worst, are pretty heinous. But it works. It just adds to the overall charm of the film. The acting is so unnatural and bad at times that it just makes the film even more entertaining. It doesn't make a lick of sense until maybe the end credits, but even then, it still leaves you scratching your head. But hey, it's a comet that flies overhead, causes cars to come to life, and you have a Green Goblin truck, and you have all this fucking craziness. It's cocaine. It's cocaine fueled insanity, and I love it. I love Maximum Overdrive, warts and all. Um, like I said, it's far from perfect. Even there's lines of dialogue in the film that are really awkward, and I really don't know what was going on there. But hey, like I said, it adds to the overall entertainment factor. I mean, some of these moments, it's like it would only work in a film like this that's so batshit insane that doesn't take it seriously from the first scene. I mean, the first moment of the film is just an ATM machine telling Stephen King that he's an asshole. You know, and from then on, it just gets crazier and crazier. So it's one of those films where you definitely have to turn your brain off and you just have to go along for the ride. It's a masterful B movie. I think that's really what the intention was. The intention was to make a big budget B movie, and that's precisely what Maximum Overdrive is. And plus you also have a kick-ass soundtrack by AC/DC. It's a really fun package. It's a wonderful bundle of joy, and it's a movie that I will defend till the day I die, even despite its enormous flaws, because it does. It has quite a few of them, but I'm willing to look past them because when they are added together into the overall equation, these flaws are a big reason why the film is as entertaining as it is. If it was more competent in certain areas, it wouldn't be as fun to watch, and it definitely wouldn't be as unique. So that those are a couple mini reviews for you, a little bit of bonus for you, a couple mini reviews of Christine and Maximum Overdrive. One of these days I'll probably do longer reviews, but there we go. There's a little bonus for you guys that to make up for me being out of action for so long. In terms of any more trailers, Fractured. I think this was that Sam Worthington. That looked like it might be an interesting thriller. He's a father. He goes to a hospital to take his kid to get treatment, and his wife and his daughter go missing as soon as they get taken away to be treated. And of course, in typical what the fuck fashion, nobody knows what's going on. Nobody in the hospital has seen his wife and or heard of his wife and his daughter, and now he's this it's this race against time to find them. And I like simple but effective plots like that, so that might be worth a watch. That might be a decent film. The only other trailer I want to talk about is In the Shadow of the Moon. This is directed by Jim Mickle, who did the incredibly underrated Cold in July. I love that film. If you haven't seen that movie, go see it now. It is a wonderful film, one of the best modern day thrillers I have personally seen. The script is fantastic, the acting is phenomenal, the direction is stylish, slick, and spectacular. It's a fantastic film. And that's why I'm curious about this. And it really was grabbing me in the beginning of the trailer with the overall intensity. There's a lot of practical aftermath gore. It's a murder mystery. There's a cop on the case who's trying to figure out who's killing these random people. And then it turns into a sci-fi film and a fantasy movie. So then it's kind of like a crime thriller, but then there's fantasy and sci-fi elements that are thrown in there, which is interesting. And because it jumps from one time period to another where the crimes are repeating themselves again, and there is someone in the center of it all, this mysterious woman. And that's really where the trailer started to kind of lose me a little bit, is with this stuff with the mysterious woman from the future or the past or wherever the hell she comes from. The overall idea is not necessarily bad, but from what I saw in the trailer, she's a bad actress, and that worries me. If she's going to be such a big focal point of this film and she can't act, that's going to be a problem. So maybe it's just bad takes in the trailer. I don't know. That being said, I'll still give the film a watch when it comes out on Netflix. As well as In the Tall Grass and maybe Fractured. So it seems like Netflix has some interesting movies that are coming out that have some intriguing concepts and ideas. Taking a little bit more risks and chances than some modern films are. That not necessarily modern's not the right word. Than mainstream films are that are being released in theaters. Another one from Netflix, I've already talked about it, but I really can't wait to see this. My Name is Dolomite. I really do. Dolomite is my name. That's what it is. I really want to see that one. So really, that's my thoughts on trailers. As for little bits of movie news, I just want to do a little bit of a let's just say a little bit of a venting, so to speak. I want to vent a little bit on Stallone. Sylvester Stallone's an actor that I admire. His story is inspiring and always will be. He lived the American dream. He is still living the American dream. He came from nowhere, he came from nothing, and he went all the way to the top. That's inspiring, and it really is something that nobody can take away from him, and something that will always resonate for even years after he is no longer with us. And he has made and been a part of so many of my favorite films, and so many films that mean a lot to me. But that being said, I'm saying this because I love Sly and because I care. Stallone is really starting to whore himself out. And I know this might sound a little bit harsh, but it's the perfect way to put it. He is really whoring himself out, specifically his franchises. So we have the Creed films, which are a spin-off of the Rocky films. You have another Rambo movie, which, to be perfectly honest, looks pretty unnecessary. And everything that I've heard about it sounds like it is unnecessary. Then you have him talking about doing a Rambo prequel. I was a teenage Rambo with a teenage Rambo, something nobody wants. Just like nobody wants young John McClane. Nobody wants a John McClane movie without Bruce Willis with some young nobody as John. Nobody wants that. Nobody's interested in that. Nobody is asking for that. Just like nobody's asking for a Rambo prequel where it has a teenage Rambo. I'm just saying, and I don't care about that. I don't want to see him in Vietnam. We got the gist of that. We don't need to see more of that. Especially with some guy trying to be young Stallone. That is no thank you. We also don't need to see another Cobra. I love Cobra, but the time is long past to do another Cobra. Especially not a TV series where it's a reboot produced by Robert Rodriguez. Was it going to be like the From Dusk Till Dawn series that I never saw, and I don't know of anybody that's ever seen it, but for some reason it's lasted multiple seasons? Are you going to have a Cobra series and Stallone's not going to be Cobra? If he's not going to be Cobra, I don't give a shit, and I don't care. And if that's the case, Sly, what are you doing? Why are you whoring out the Cobra franchise and selling out just so you can, I don't know, get some money? It seems like he has this Balboa Productions company now, and he just wants to put out every single thing he possibly can that he has the rights to so he can make money and he can make more of a profit. And it just makes me wonder what is going on in his life and what is going on with him financially. I mean, he's making the kind of moves that somebody makes when they're desperate, when they need money to pay off the IRS, when they need money to pay off some debts. I mean, he's selling almost all of his memorabilia and auctions. He's doing all of these spin-offs and these optioning these reboots. He talked to Kurt Russell about a Tango and Cash sequel, and I respect Kurt immensely for his response. It was very level-headed, and he was just like, I don't know about that. I'm old, and really, yeah. Essentially, I mean, that's not really what he said, but that's kind of translating what he was saying to Stallone. He was kind of like, I don't think so. I don't think this is a good idea, Sly. And Kurt's right. It isn't. It isn't a good idea to do another Tango and Cash right now. And I love that movie too. I love Cobra. I love Tango and Cash. I really love the Rambo films, but that doesn't mean I want more of them and need more of them right now. And you know what, Stallone? I'm going to quote you from Rocky Balboa right now. You're better than that! You're better than this, Stallone! You don't have to keep doing these reboots of your old franchises. You don't have to keep doing these sequels. that are completely unnecessary. You don't have to be wasting your time and your effort and whatever you have left on shit like Escape Plan 2 and 3 and Backtrace. You don't have to be fucking doing this. You're not Steven fucking Seagal. You're better than that. You're better than that, Stallone. You should be doing dramatic film roles, getting Oscar nominations like Clint Eastwood when he was getting near to his retirement. You should be directing more films because you're a damn good director, and you really do not get enough credit for that. That's what you should be doing right now, Stallone. Not Rambo sequels, not saying things like, well, if Rambo Last Blood makes money, I'm gonna do another Rambo. No, don't do any more Rambos. Don't do any more Rockies. Don't do any more of this. Do something different. Do something to stretch your acting muscles. Do the dramatic roles that you weren't given the chance to do so you can be right up there with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. Because you are on that same level. You just never got the same chances as they got to show that you can be at that level consistently. All people have to do if they doubt that is watch Copland. It's just frustrating because I am not only a fan of Stallone and his films, I respect his talents and his abilities, and I know that he's better than this. So that's me venting on Stallone right now. And it's frustrating because you're seeing these moves he's making and you're like, you're 73 years old. You don't have a lot of time left. You don't have a lot of film roles left. You're wasting this valuable time that you have left to really make an impact. You're wasting it right now on shit that's immaterial. That shit that's not going to mean much in the long run. Do the Edgar Allan Poe biography that you've been wanting to do. Do that gangster film you were attached to. I heard a rumor he might be attached to maybe a horror film that Jim Mickle might be involved with. Please, for the love of God, do that. Because he's a really great director. And I think he would really do a great job with you. Just Stallone, branch out. Branch out. Do stuff that you've been wanting to do, but you haven't had the chance to, or do things that you haven't done before. This is your opportunity. You're not an action guy anymore. You're 73 years old. You're better than that. You're better than being the tired old action hero. You're better than Steven Seagal. That's what these moves are. You're better than Bruce Willis. That's what these kind of moves are, Sly. They're Bruce Willis and Steven Seagal moves. And you're better than that. So anyway, that's my quick little vent there on Stallone. Like I said, got a few things. I'm going to save them for last. So these are all DVDs. Got them from various different places. I got them from a couple of different places. I got them from a couple of thrift stores. Some from the Salvation Army and some from Retail Thrift Store, which has a policy where some portion of the sales goes to the local Humane Society. So I try to go there as much as I can, not only because they usually have some good deals and some good selection, but because, I want to help support the Humane Society. I mean, this guy right over here, I don't know, I'm not pointing the right way. This furry guy over here, he's a rescue. So I want to try to, support them, by going over there and spending a little bit of money. So here we have Chasers, which is a film directed by Dennis Hopper. It's got William McNamara and Tom Berenger and Eric Arleniak. Looks like a zany film. That really is the perfect way to describe it. It looks absolutely zany. Talent for the Game, I mentioned this earlier. Edward James Olmos, Lorraine Bracco. It's the second 90s film that deals with the California Angels, because the film Angels in the Outfield also had the California Angels as the main team that's the focus of the film. Ragtime. Apparently this is a really highly praised film. It's got great reviews from a lot of different critics. I got it because it was cheap. I don't mind period pieces because I think they're going to be really interesting and it can have some really great visuals. And for the cast, I mean, you got James Cagney, Brad Dourif, Moses Gunn, Elizabeth McGovern, Mandy Patinkin, Mary Steenburgen, Randy Newman did the score. Apparently this, I think it got Oscar nominations, and there's a trailer on YouTube for a remaster version of it from Lionsgate, but I don't think they ever released the Blu-ray. I think it was a trailer for the Blu-ray, but it never actually came out because I think their deal with Paramount expired or something. So there's a French Blu-ray of the film out there, but I've never seen the film, so I was like, a couple bucks, why not? You know? And look at the trailer. I mean, there wasn't really a trailer. There's no trailer on here, but the overall plot kind of intrigued me. I'm curious about that one. Here we have Someone to Watch Over Me with Tom Berenger and Mimi Rogers. Probably the most overlooked and forgotten about film that Ridley Scott has directed. I don't know if that's for good reason or not. I've never actually seen it. I know it came out on Blu-ray recently, but I'd rather just take a chance on the DVD right now because it didn't cost me nearly as much. Red Corner with Richard Gere. Looks like it actually might be a pretty good thriller. Looks like looks like it's going to have a really good performance by Richard Gere. I like the fact that it takes place in China. Doesn't have some good visuals there. Yeah, I'm curious about this one. Looks like a pretty decent thriller. This one, I really do want to see this fairly soon. Kiss of Death. Heard a lot of really good things about this one. Directed by Barbara Schroeder, who did Single White Female, which is a film I'll probably do a review of in the near future. I saw the sequel to that. I don't remember anything about it. I probably won't do a video about it. There's not really much to say, except for the opening titles, which look like they're created with MS Paint. But anyway, back to Kiss of Death. Looks like a really good thriller. Great cast. Looks like it has a great performance with Nicolas Cage as well as David Caruso. Looks like it has a lot of style, a lot of flair. It looks very slick. This cover art, though, is really not the best. It really doesn't do the film justice, it seems like. I mean, this makes it look like it's some cheap martial arts movie or something. Like, the fun... This really doesn't match well with the overall tone of the movie at all, if you ask me. Like, I don't know why they didn't just use the cover from the... Why didn't they just use the poster? Why didn't they just use the movie poster? I don't know why they had to do this. It looks really cheap and looks pretty bad, to be honest. It makes it look like a direct-to-video movie. It really does. It makes it look like a direct-to-video film. Here we have a Martin Lawrence stand-up film, Run Till Dat. I had it on VHS. Saw the DVD, wanted to pick up the DVD because it's actually a really fun show. I think it's pretty hilarious. Another baseball film. This time it is The Winning Season. The idea intrigued me. You have Matthew Modine and Kristen Davis. Matthew Modine is this baseball player, Honus Wagner, and there's this baseball fan named Joe Soshak, played by Sean Hatsoy, and he ends up magically getting transported back in time around at the time of the 1909 World Series with Honus Wagner. So he's trying to get his autograph so he can turn his situation around in the future, and yeah, and this is an interesting idea. This cover makes it look like it's an 80s movie, but actually it isn't. It's a 2000s film, which really surprised me because Matthew Modine looks really good. He looks like he did in Vision Quest here. Like, I am really shocked by how young he looks. Here we have Too Young. Speaking of young, Too Young to Die. I don't know why there's a question mark there. Too Young to Die? This is Brad Pitt, Juliette Lewis. This is based on a true story. This is a TV film. At the time, it was very highly acclaimed. So, glad to pick that up. And here we have Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry. Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry. This is the Anchor Bay release. I have this in a double feature from Shout Factory with Ride with the Devil or Race the Devil. Something the Devil. I think I got it wrong. I think it's Race the Devil. I could be completely wrong though. But it's an Anchor Bay release. These are usually pretty damn good, even nowadays, in terms of overall picture quality. This has a little bit more features than the Shout Factory release, it seems like. And this just seems like a really fun movie. Like, I really do want to check this out sometime. It looks like a really great old school action chase film. Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry. Speaking of dirty, here we have Dirty Pictures. And I know Dirty Pictures makes you think dirty thoughts. Like, oh, porn? This is not about porn. Although some of the images from this exhibition kind of could be considered in that genre. This is a film that is based on the infamous art installation by Robert Mapplethorpe that really just offended a bunch of people. And I'm curious about it for the cast. James Woods, Craig T. Nelson. And I've taken my fair share of art classes and photography classes in college, so I am familiar with Robert Mapplethorpe. So I'm curious about it for that. Also, this is an interesting, it was a Showtime film. It's got an interesting structure to it. I flipped through it. Apparently, there's some regular filmed, like a movie scenes, but then there's other scenes that are more like a documentary, where they have archival interviews that are spliced in. So I don't know how that's gonna work, but I'll figure that out when I get around to seeing the film. Dirty Pictures of James Woods. Here we have Slaughterhouse-5. I don't know if I had this already or not, but it was pretty cheap. So, and it's a really good movie. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but it is a definite trip. The book is a trip too, though, and I have fond memories with this because I didn't have the best luck in getting into a group for a history class in high school, and so because I wanted to do Slaughterhouse-5, and nobody else wanted to do their project on Slaughterhouse-5, so I was by myself, and so I read the book. I remember actually not minding it, and then for the assignment for the group project, all I did was I came in one day after class and I watched this film with my teacher, and that's it. Just wrote some notes, did a few things, and I got an A on the project. So yeah, I remember this fondly just for that alone. But it's been a while since I've seen it though. And then and the last thing I got is Keep Watching, which is what I'm going to recommend you do. Please keep watching my channel. Because I'm really going to be like I said, I'm going to be making a serious effort to be putting out more consistent content. At least a couple videos, not more than that a week. I can balance that out. I know I have a lot on my plate, but it doesn't take me that long to do these videos. So if I take the time out, of my schedule to do them, I think I can do it. But yeah, keep watching. It was cheap, it seemed like a fairly new film. The idea intrigued me because it's a home invasion film, but there's like a game going on. There's also their struggles or whatever is being streamed to, you know, a bunch of people, sick fucks on the internet. And so yeah, it's kind of a, I don't think it's found footage or anything, but yeah, we'll see. It's probably pretty bad, but hey, didn't cost me that much. Anyway, that is it. That is it for this extra long, double stuffed vlog. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, had a lot to catch up on, a lot to talk about. I hope you found it entertaining and worth watching. And stay tuned for what I got coming up next. I've got a review of Ready or Not that's going to be ready fairly soon. It's going to be piping hot, and it's going to be fresh. So anyway, thanks for watching, and as always, I will see you later. See ya.